Today we're going to talk about what just happened. The market didn't just pull back, it got absolutely wrecked. Bitcoin dumped hard, Ethereum got hit, altcoins, equities, everything moved down together. It was a full-scale risk-off move, and it caught a lot of people completely off guard. In today's video, I'm going to break down what Bitcoin is doing on the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and lower time frames. Why the level price is sitting at right now is one of the most important that we've seen in a very long time. And how I'm also reading Ethereum as its momentum continues to accelerate to the downside. Later in the video, we'll also talk about where reactions can realistically start forming, right? No guesses, no hopium, just simple structure and clear levels. This is Bitcoin on point. We cut through the panic, slow the market down, and break it apart level by level exactly the way it needs to be read. Now from here, the next clean move doesn't just matter for today or tomorrow. It decides how this entire phase of the market plays out. Something serious just happened in the market. Bitcoin has lost the multiple key support levels. Ethereum is accelerating lower, and the fear is it's really spreading fast. This is the kind of environment where people panic or they finally slow down and start reading the structure. From here, one clean move decides whether this is just a deep correction or the start of something much bigger. Let me break it down for you step by step. Now, a quick reminder before we go deeper. I'm publicly running a $10,000 to $100,000 trading challenge. No hidden trades, no hindsight calls. Every idea, all of my execution plans, and every update is shared live in my free Telegram. YouTube is where I break down all of the structure, but Telegram is where the real-time decisions actually happen. Now, before we go further, smash that like button. Let's target 20 likes on this video, and please make sure you're subscribed. It really helps the channel, and it tells me you want more of these real-time market breakdowns. Now, before we analyze the charts, let's talk about the macro backdrop. This matters just as much. We have just seen BlackRock and multiple spot ETFs offload nearly $818 million worth of Bitcoin. It's the fourth largest daily outflow since ETFs launched. This isn't retail panic. This is institutional money stepping back. And when it happens, this is where volatility expands. Now, at the same time, Bitcoin has now dipped to a 9-month low near $81,000. Geopolitical tensions, tariff uncertainty, tech sector weakness. It's all hitting the markets and all at once. And it's not just crypto, it's everything. And what's pretty crazy from the crypto perspective is that $1.2 billion in leveraged crypto positions were liquidated in the last 24 hours. Now, this all tells us something very important. The move is not just selling, it's forced selling. Leverage is getting flushed. Weak positions are being wiped out, weak hands. And that's exactly why price is moving so aggressively. Now, the macro doesn't tell us whether price bottoms today, tomorrow, or next week. It explains why pressure is building in the markets, right? And why reactions at key levels matter more than ever. And that's why I'm letting the charts lead and not fighting this momentum. Now, let's start with the macro analysis. We're going to look at Bitcoin on the monthly chart. And right now, Bitcoin is sitting directly on a major long-term trend line. The same trend line that's been holding price around 85K, right? Now, this level is extremely important. I can't emphasize this enough because if Bitcoin loses the monthly support, there's very little structure beneath it until the 55 to 50K sort of zone. That zone is where the monthly order block sits, and it's the area from which the previous major bullish expansion actually started, right? So this monthly candle does matter a lot, this January candle. One clean move from here will decide whether Bitcoin either remains in a long-term bullish structure or fully, or officially, should I say, transitions into a deeper bearish phase. It's not a small level. This is the kind of level that defines entire market cycles. And with that in mind, let's move down to the Bitcoin weekly chart because we can see here the red line, which is the 50 EMA, and we have the black line, which is the 100-week EMA. And prices recently actually pushed up into a fair value gap, but it failed to close above that. So instead of accepting higher prices there, Bitcoin was rejected and fell straight into the 100-week EMA support, the black line. But what's even more important is that the price didn't manage to hold it. So it didn't hold above the fair value gap. It didn't hold above the 50-week EMA, and it didn't hold above the 100-week EMA. So this is what this tells me is there is a strong sign of seller control here, right? Sellers are active, momentum is currently shifted bearish, and buyers are struggling to regain the structure. So based on the weekly here, the next major drawdown liquidity and possible target sits around 74 to 75K. And it's where price is actually being magnetized towards if this bearish momentum does continue. So if the weekly bearish case does play out, we can use the daily chart to form or frame a trade idea. Now on the daily, we can see that 86K was a key support level, but that level broke down. And when support breaks, it often turns back into resistance, right? That's what we want to look for. So my expectation here is simple. I want to see the price retrace back up towards 86K. And if it does retrace into that zone and show signs of bearish confirmation, that's where a short, we could set up a short, right? And the first downside target from there would be around 80.7K. This isn't a forced trade, but it is a conditional idea. And it's completely dependent, I say this a lot, on the actual structure and the confirmation of the structure. Now, keeping that in mind as well, dropping into the 2-hour chart for Bitcoin. Yesterday, I showed this exact chart, and the move has almost played out perfectly. Price was around 88 to 88.5K, and I mentioned that above the structure was weak, and liquidity below was likely to be taken. So that's exactly what happened. The price did break down. It continued lower. It swept the liquidity beneath the prior lows. And if you watched yesterday's video, you already knew this downside was coming, right? I signaled this on both time frames, and you wouldn't have been looking for any sort of longs here. So this time frame confirms right now that sellers are in control and downside continuation is still valid until the structure actually changes. Now for a quick trading challenge update. I'm being very selective here still. There's no forced trades. I haven't got any emotional takes or entries. And I'm not just trading for the sake of action, right? The goal is pretty simple. And that's to trade only when the structure becomes clear. And that the risk to reward ratio actually makes sense. So any executions or even just staying flat, whatever it may be, it's always updated live in my free Telegram. You're missing out if you're not heading over. So go and check it out. Now, let's talk about Ethereum on the weekly. And in my mind, there is still clear room for the price to move lower here. And the reasoning behind that is because momentum is firmly bearish right now. We do, however, have two clear downside liquidity targets waiting. One sits at 2.4K and one sits at 2.1K. I fully expect the price to at least test 2.4. And I think that's where demand is likely to step in. I don't expect it really to drop to 2.1K. I just think it would require significant additional seller strength. The lower price goes, the more demand typically builds up, right? So keeping all of this in mind, zooming out and summing all of it up, Bitcoin is sitting on critical monthly support. Weekly structure for Bitcoin is bearish and targeting lower liquidity. Daily and lower time frame support continuation unless reclaimed. And Ethereum momentum remains bearish with clear downside targets, 2 of them. Now, nothing is forced and everything here depends on confirmation. This is a market where patience, guys, matters more than ever right now. So if this breakdown has helped you, please don't forget to like the video. It really supports the channel. Make sure you're also subscribed and drop a comment below. Tell me what you think happens next from here. If you want to see how I handle this market in real time, join my free Telegram. It's where I share live updates and my executions for trades. Everything I use is linked in the description. As always, I appreciate you being here. Stay patient and I'll see you in the next update.